You know, something very strange happens when we begin our morning by offering a blessing to ourselves. The heart, after years of tightening, protecting, and carrying burdens, softens just a little. And almost naturally, without any effort, that softened heart wants to open a bit more. I want you to imagine this. You've just placed your hand over your chest, breathed slowly, and spoken a few kind words to yourself. And then, without forcing anything, the face of someone dear appears in your mind. Maybe it's a partner who has walked beside you through decades of ups and downs. Maybe it's a child you love in a way words could never quite describe. Or perhaps it's an old friend, someone whose presence even in memory makes your heart relax. Have you ever felt that a person whose image alone warms something inside you, reminding you that this world still holds bonds too deep for explanation? And in that exact moment, all you need to do is silently whisper very softly like a breath. May you be peaceful. May you feel loved today. You don't need to call them. You don't need to send a message. They don't need to know what you're doing. This gesture is not for them to receive. This gesture is for your heart to open. After more than 30 years sitting with people over 50 and 60 here in the United States, I've learned something profound. We don't suffer because we lack love. We suffer because our love stops flowing. We care but don't say it. We love but keep it hidden. We miss someone but are afraid to show it. And when that river of feeling is blocked, the heart grows heavy like a stream that's forgotten how to move. Neuroscientists say that even a brief moment of sending loving kindness to someone can change the brain, calming stress centers and strengthening the networks that make us feel safe. But to me, what matters more than any research is this. When you genuinely wish someone well, even silently, something inside you opens. You feel less alone, less guarded, more connected to the simple truth that you still belong here. I've seen older adults burst into tears over one simple realization that for the first time in years, they allowed themselves to wish happiness for someone they love. Not hoping to receive anything back, just letting love move again. So each morning after blessing yourself, I hope you'll try this. Think of one face that softens your heart and whisper those two simple sentences. You may be surprised at how gently things shift, not loudly, not dramatically, but like a small lamp being lit in a quiet room. Just one breath, one silent blessing, and your morning has already changed. You know, when we reach a certain age, somewhere past 50, maybe 60, life begins to whisper a different message. It's no longer about climbing mountains or proving ourselves to the world. It becomes quieter, softer, deeper. And one of the most beautiful shifts I've witnessed in people my age is the desire to serve not out of obligation but out of presence. I often tell the people who sit with me each morning, after you bless your own heart, choose one small intention, one act of kindness that you will offer to someone today. Just one. It doesn't have to be dramatic or heroic. In fact, the quieter it is, the more powerful it becomes. Maybe today, you choose to call someone who lives alone, someone whose phone rarely rings, even though their heart longs for connection. Maybe you send a short message of encouragement to a friend who's been struggling, letting them know they haven't been forgotten. Or maybe you choose to listen to someone, truly listen without rushing in to fix them, without judgment, without turning their story into your own. Have you noticed how rare that kind of listening has become? I once worked with a retired nurse, a woman in her late 60s. She told me that after decades of caring for others, she felt invisible once she stopped working. So she started a simple practice. Each morning, she would pick one person, sometimes a neighbor, sometimes a family member, sometimes even the cashier at the grocery store, and she would set an intention. Today, I will offer this person a moment of kindness. Some days it was a smile, some days it was a patient conversation, some days it was simply choosing not to judge. And she told me something I never forgot. She said, "Service didn't make my life easier. It made my life meaningful again." There's something profoundly healing about waking up and asking, who can I lift up today, even just a little? Because when we're past 50, the purpose of life shifts. It becomes less about achievement and more about contribution, less about being somebody and more about easing the path for another human being, even in the smallest way. Science actually supports this. Studies show that intentional acts of kindness release oxytocin, the hormone of connection, not just in the receiver, but in the giver. Your heart literally becomes softer, stronger, more open. Your nervous system calms. Your day feels more grounded. One small intention, that's all it takes. Not a project, not a heroic mission, just a quiet promise whispered in the morning. Today I will serve one person gently, consciously, without expecting anything back. And the beautiful thing is, you never know whose life will be touched. Sometimes it's theirs, sometimes it's yours. But every single time your day changes because you changed before the day even began. Before you reach for your phone, before the world comes rushing in, I want you to give yourself a gift. A simple, quiet moment that can reshape your entire day. Place your hand on your heart. Feel that warmth under your palm, the steady rhythm that has carried you through every joy, every disappointment, every ordinary morning you've lived until now. Take a slow breath, then another, and one more. Not to calm yourself, not to do it right, but simply to come home to your own body. And then in the gentlest whisper, almost like you're speaking to a child you love, say these three intentions. May my mind think with love. May my words arise from love. May my actions be love in motion. You see, these are not mantras. They're not magic spells. They're promises, soft, private, honest promises you make to yourself before you step into the noise of the day. At my age, after sitting with thousands of people over 50 and 60, I've learned this. The first moments of the morning set the emotional tone for everything that follows. If we begin with fear, the world looks threatening. If we begin with shame, we spend the whole day trying to prove our worth. But if we begin from love, even a small flicker of it, our day unfolds differently. Not perfectly, not free of challenge, but differently, softer, wiser. I once spoke with a man in his early 70s who told me that for much of his life, he woke up already bracing for impact. Email, news, deadlines. Everything felt like a race he was always losing. When I shared these three intentions with him, he laughed at first. 3 sentences won't change my life, he said. But a few months later, he came back with tears in his eyes. He said, I didn't know how desperately I needed to speak kindly to myself before the world spoke to me. Maybe you feel something like that too. Maybe you've spent years waking up and going straight into battle mode, checking messages, checking responsibilities, checking the past. But what if the morning isn't a battlefield? What if it's a doorway? What if these 3 intentions are simply 3 steps across that threshold? May my mind think with love. Because the mind can be a wild animal, but it can also be a garden if we tend it. May my words arise from love, because words can wound for years, or they can heal in a single breath. May my actions be love in motion, because in the end, people don't remember our achievements. They remember how we made them feel. So tomorrow morning, before your phone, before your thoughts, before your worries, let your hand rest on your heart. Breathe, whisper your 3 intentions, and let that be your quiet, sacred beginning. You know, morning meditation doesn't mean very much if it stays on the cushion. Anyone can be peaceful for 10 minutes when the house is quiet, when the sky is soft, when the world hasn't knocked on the door yet. The real practice, the practice that transforms you, begins after you stand up, after life starts happening again. I often tell people my age, kindness isn't proven in silence. It's proven in the small moments when you're tested. Because the truth is, life will test you every single day. Maybe you've experienced this. You meditate in the morning, feel calm, almost saintly. And then 5 minutes later, someone cuts you off on the road and the first reaction is, "Oh, come on, that's normal, you're human." But the moment right after that, that is where the practice lives. Will you feed the fire or will you let it go? If someone cuts in front of you, you have a choice. You can pour gasoline on the moment, or you can choose not to burn. And that one small choice shapes the energy of your whole day. I once worked with a woman in her late 50s, a grandmother of 4. She told me that meditation never worked for her. But when I asked what she meant, she said, "I meditate, but I still snap at people." So I asked her a question back, one that changed the way she practiced. When you snap, do you realize you're snapping sooner? Do you soften sooner? She paused for a long time and whispered, "Yes, actually I do," and I smiled, because that is the practice. At home, maybe you've caught yourself scolding your own mistakes in the kitchen, burning the food, forgetting an ingredient, dropping something. And perhaps you hear that harsh voice inside saying, "What's wrong with you?" But then, if your morning practice is alive, there comes a second voice, a softer one. "It's okay. I'm a human being. I'm learning." That gentle shift, that moment when you choose tenderness over punishment, that is meditation in action. And at work or around people you know well, it's even harder. Someone speaks with irritation, and your instinct might be to push back, defend, attack. Because we're wired that way. We're wired to protect ourselves. But the people who truly grow in their later years are the ones who can pause for just a breath and respond with something different. A tone that doesn't wound, a look that doesn't escalate, a presence that doesn't add fuel to someone else's fire. Every one of these moments on the road, in the kitchen, at work, in your own thoughts is a bridge. On one side is your old conditioning, your reflex, your habit. On the other side is awareness. Every time you choose the quieter side, even just once a day, something inside you changes, something softens, something heals. And that's the miracle of bringing loving kindness into the ordinary moments. It turns your whole life into the practice, not just the morning, not just the meditation, but every breath, every choice, every interaction, all becoming part of the same gentle path toward waking up. You know, most of us don't wake up gently. We may open our eyes, but the first thing that rises is not gratitude. It's a voice, a harsh, familiar voice that has lived in our heads for years. You're not good enough. You're too slow. You should be doing better by now. Maybe you've heard that voice too before your feet even touch the floor. It's almost automatic, isn't it? As if the mind forgets that you're a human being, not a machine. But spiritual maturity, especially in this stage of life, asks something different of us. It asks us to begin our morning not with judgment, but with tenderness. So instead of letting that old voice take over, I want you to try something small, something gentle. Place your hand on your heart. Just feel the warmth of your own palm resting there. This simple gesture is powerful. Many psychologists call it self-soothing, but in spiritual language, we call it remembering your humanity. Then take a slow breath, the kind that softens the body instead of rushing it, and whisper quietly like you're speaking to someone you love. May I be peaceful. May I suffer less. May I live today from love more than from fear. When I teach this practice to older adults, many of them cry the first time they try it, not because the words are sad, but because they realize how rarely they have spoken kindly to themselves. For decades, they have motivated themselves with criticism, pressure, and self-attack, and they never questioned whether that voice was wise. But here's the truth. When you stop fighting yourself, you stop fighting the world. When you speak to yourself with warmth, even just for a moment in the morning, your nervous system shifts, your heart slows, your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, the whole ecology of your inner life changes, and then the outer world feels less threatening. I once worked with a man in his 60s who told me, "Self-love isn't natural for me. It feels strange." And I looked at him and said, "Of course it feels strange. You've practiced self-criticism for 40 years. But when you practice kindness even awkwardly, something begins to heal. You don't have to fully believe the words at first. You don't need to feel a miracle. You just need to show up, hand on heart, breath, slow, whisper soft. Because these small moments accumulated day after day soften the old armor you've built around yourself. The armor that once protected you but now only keeps you distant from others and from your own tenderness. So tomorrow morning, before the inner critic wakes up, fully place your hand on your heart. Breathe. Whisper your wish for peace, for ease, for a day guided not by fear but by love. And in that one quiet moment, you begin creating a different kind of life, one that doesn't require you to fight yourself just to make it through the day. You know, after we pass our 50s and 60s, the body stops being something we push and starts becoming something we must learn to listen to. It's no longer a machine we command. It's more like an old friend, a faithful companion who has walked every mile with us, carried every burden, absorbed every stress, and stayed with us even on the days we didn't treat it kindly. And like any old friend, it needs tenderness. So each morning, before the day truly begins, I invite you to spend just 1 or 2 minutes simply listening to your body the way you would listen to someone you love. Feel your hands, feel your legs, not judging them, not wishing they were younger or stronger, but simply acknowledging them. You're still here with me. Feel your breath as it moves through your chest. And take a moment, a real moment, to appreciate that your heart is still beating. Think about that. Through every heartbreak, every disappointment, every stressful year, every sleepless night, your heart never stopped showing up for you. It deserves your gratitude. Then move gently. Roll your shoulders a little. Circle your wrists, stretch your fingers, lift your chin. Let your jaw relax, soften your face. Tiny movements, but full of meaning. This too is metta-loving kindness, but directed toward your physical body. People often think metta is only about emotions, thoughts, or our relationships with others. But the body carries its own stories, the knee that aches when rain is coming, the lower back that stiffens after years of work, the neck that tightens with every unresolved worry. When we offer loving kindness to the body, we're really saying, "I remember you. I'm grateful for you. I will be gentle with you today." I once spoke with a woman in her 70s who said, "I don't trust my body anymore." And I told her, maybe your body isn't failing you. Maybe it's simply asking you to listen. And she paused, her eyes softening, and whispered, "No one has ever asked me to listen to my body like that." But when we do listen, truly listen, something shifts. The body loosens, the breath deepens, the heart feels less alone. You can even speak to your body the same way you speak to a dear companion. "I know you're tired. I know you've carried me far. I'm going to take care of you today." This simple morning ritual can change the tone of your entire day. When you treat your body with respect, you move more gently through the world. You're less reactive, less harsh, less impatient, because you've already practiced tenderness before you stepped out the door. And maybe for the first time in years, your body feels seen. Not as a problem, not as a burden, but as an old friend who deserves kindness. So tomorrow morning, take those 1 or 2 quiet minutes, Listen, thank your body, be gentle with it. It has never stopped being gentle with you. By the time we reach our 60s, every one of us carries a few names in our hearts. Names that make the chest tighten the moment they appear in the mind. Maybe it's someone who betrayed your trust. Someone who spoke words that still sting when you think about them. Someone who walked away without explanation, leaving a silent bruise that never fully faded. At this age, we don't need anyone to tell us what hurt feels like. We already know. But meta-loving kindness doesn't ask us to pretend the past didn't happen. It doesn't demand that we say, "I forgive you," or that we excuse what was harmful. Meta isn't about rewriting the story. It's about releasing ourselves from being trapped inside it. Instead of forcing forgiveness, metta simply invites us to whisper a single sentence. May you also be peaceful. Not because they deserve peace, but because your heart deserves to stop carrying the weight. For decades, I've sat with people over 50 and 60, and nearly all of them share the same truth. The older we get, the heavier resentment becomes. What once felt like righteous anger eventually becomes a burden we carry everywhere, into our sleep, into our health, into our relationships, into the quiet hours of the night. It's like holding a burning coal, waiting for the right moment to throw it. Except we're the ones who get burned. I remember speaking with a retired engineer, a tough stoic man in his late 60s. He told me he had no interest in that compassion nonsense. But when I asked him about the one person he still felt furious toward, his voice cracked. Years of tension pressed into one name. When I gently invited him to whisper, "May you be peaceful," he squeezed his eyes shut and said, "I can't." I told him, "You don't have to mean it. You only have to be willing to stop carrying the coal." A few weeks later, he came back and said, "I still don't forgive him, but my chest feels lighter." And that, my friend, is exactly how metta works. This practice isn't about reconciliation. You don't have to welcome anyone back into your life. You don't have to trust them. You don't have to approve of them. You simply loosen your grip not on the person, but on the pain. Because choosing freedom matters more than choosing to be right. When you whisper, "May you be peaceful," what you are really saying is, "I will not let what you did define the quality of my heart anymore. I choose my peace over my past. I choose softness over bitterness." It takes courage to do this. It takes maturity. It takes a heart that has suffered enough to know that holding on only prolongs the suffering. So tomorrow morning, when the old memories rise, as they often do, place your hand on your chest. Breathe and whisper just once, "May you also be peaceful." And feel, even for a moment, the quiet freedom of putting the burning coal down. Gratitude changes shape as we grow older. In our 20s or 30s, gratitude is often something we're supposed to practice, a kind of positive thinking exercise we read about in books. But after 60, gratitude becomes something else entirely. It becomes a quiet awakening, a realization, a soft recognition that we are still here. So each morning before the day becomes busy, I invite you to notice one specific thing, just one that you can be grateful for right now. Not a big idea, not a general statement like "I'm grateful for my life." No, something small, something real, something you can feel. Maybe it's this simple, "Today I can still swing my legs over the bed and stand on my own 2 feet." There are people who wish for that ability every single morning. Or maybe you whisper, "I still have someone to call son or daughter or friend." Because the older we get, the more we understand that relationships, even imperfect ones, are treasures. Life doesn't promise to keep forever. Or perhaps your gratitude is this: "My memory is still strong enough to hear these words and understand them." Because the mind, too, is a gift that can't be taken for granted. One specific thing, just one. Write it in a small notebook that lives on your nightstand, or simply murmur it into the morning air before your feet touch the floor. People sometimes ask me, why so specific? And I tell them this: when gratitude is vague, the heart doesn't feel it. But when gratitude names something real, something you can touch, see, or feel, it wakes the heart up. I once worked with a widower in his 70s who told me, I don't know what to be grateful for anymore. His wife had passed, his children lived far away, and his days felt empty. So I said, let's start small. What can you notice this morning? He thought for a long time and finally whispered, my hands, they still work. And when he said it, his eyes filled with tears, not because his hands were miraculous, but because for the first time in years he realized he'd been overlooking the simple blessings that were still here. That is the power of specific gratitude. It doesn't ask you to pretend your life is perfect. It simply asks you to acknowledge what remains. At this stage of life, gratitude isn't a technique. It's not a trendy practice or a checkbox on a wellness list. Gratitude is a recognition, a moment of clarity that says, I am still alive. I still have something to care for, something to notice, something to cherish. So tomorrow morning, before you step out of bed, take a breath and find one small, specific thing to be thankful for. Let the words rise quietly from your heart. Thank you that I am still here. Because in the evening of life, gratitude is not an exercise. It is a form of awakening. You know, once you've blessed yourself in the morning, once you've extended kindness to those you love, and even offered a gentle wish of peace to the ones who hurt you, something subtle begins to happen inside the heart. It softens, it widens, it becomes a place with more room in it. And from that spaciousness, a new layer of loving kindness naturally arises, one that reaches beyond your personal circle. I often invite people over 60 to try this simple practice. After you've tended to your own heart, picture the ordinary faces you pass every day. The delivery driver who places a package at your door, the woman sweeping the sidewalk at dawn, the man you see at the grocery store but have never spoken to, the stranger walking their dog down the street, even the people you may never meet, those driving on distant highways, living in other cities, waking up under the same sky. For just a moment, hold them gently in your awareness and whisper, may all beings be peaceful. May everyone find a refuge in their own hearts. You don't need to imagine their whole lives. You don't need to know their stories. You simply acknowledge that they too are trying to make it through the day. They too experience fear, disappointment, hope, longing, joy, and sorrow. They too are someone's child, someone's parent, someone's burden, someone's blessing. This is the moment when loving kindness stops being personal and becomes universal. I once knew an elderly man who practiced this every morning on his porch. He would watch people pass by, joggers, delivery workers, students heading to the bus, and quietly send them a wish for peace. One day he told me, I know I can't fix the world, but I can refuse to add hardness to it. And that to me is the heart of this practice. Because we can't control global events, we can't erase suffering, we can't make the world suddenly kinder by force. But we can make sure that the world becomes a little less harsh because we chose not to be harsh. Every time you whisper, may all beings be peaceful, something inside you shifts. You stop seeing strangers as obstacles. You stop imagining enemies where there are none. You begin to understand that everyone, absolutely everyone, is carrying something you know nothing about. And when your heart expands like that, even a little, the world feels less lonely, less divided, less threatening. So tomorrow morning, after you've offered kindness to yourself, to your loved ones, and to those who have hurt you, let your heart take one more step outward. Imagine all beings near and far moving through their day, and give them the quiet gift of your wish. May all beings be peaceful. May everyone find a soft place to land inside themselves. You may not change the world, but you can change the way your heart meets the world. And that, my friend, is more powerful than you might think.